Hi guys, so this is really out of my character, out of my comfort zone to do something like this, to make a video, but I know it needs to be done. It needs to. I've been going to therapy for about 1.5 years now, or a year. I was diagnosed with a disorder, and I'll go into that in a little bit, but this isn't for others so much. It's for my own mental health, therapy, documentation, just to get it out there, you know? I really don't care if you guys watch this video, but at the same time, if you are going through what I've been going through, I hope that you could take something away from this and it could help somebody. I don't wish this on anybody, but if you are going through this stuff that I speak of in this video, I hope that it helps you. So this is going to go through PTSD, anxiety, depression, a dissociative identity disorder, abuse, emotional abuse, therapy, things I've learned about the human brain and why these things happen. And I hope that that will be something that could help you guys who are going through similar things. But mostly this video is for my own self, just to kind of go through it, run through it, you know, just get it out there. In order to get into this, we have to go back in time to 1999. I was 4 years old in 1999, and I didn't know any of this stuff even happened. That's the thing with my disorder, is usually when you have this disorder, you don't even know until you're in your mid-20s, 30s, and 40s. I didn't know. I was happy. I was. My brain was hiding it. So go back to 1999. I was 4 years old, and I looked something like this. That was me. I don't know if you can see it. That was me in a fire truck. I was about 4 or 5 there when this whole thing happened. So just look at that again. Would you want to hurt that little girl? Somebody did. And multiple people knew about it and didn't do a single thing about it. Multiple people, family members, knew about it and didn't do anything about it. So 1999, I was at my grandparents' house. I have a good set of grandparents and a bad set of grandparents. At one point, almost my entire life, they were both good. Both sides of my family were great. I loved them. I would do anything for them. And my dad's side, his mother and his stepdad, I was at their house, and my dad's stepdad, my step-grandpa, but he's been there my entire life, so he's always been Papa. He had a son who was 16, and I was 4. And I won't get into all the little details, but he did things. And things that a kid an adult would be, an adult. Looking back on this now, if this happened to me at my age, I may not be able to handle it. So it was sodomy. And my grandma and my step-grandpa found out about it. They took me into, my step-grandpa took me into the office, his little office, and sat me down and said that we're just gonna forget about this. We're going to, basically, I don't remember the exact words, but brush it under the rug, you know. And my grandma was there in the doorway. She was playing with her necklace, and it snapped off and broke. I remember these little details. I remember the 16-year-old. I'm not going to say his name because my step-grandpa's too happy, and he's into city politics. And he would find a way to get at me. He would, if he found this video, and if I said their names, he would try to sue me. Well, anyways, that's a whole different story. He's into himself. He's arrogant. He's all about his reputation. So is my dad. So anyways, his son came into the room and he was like, Kenzie, how could you? And I didn't even say anything. I was just agreeing, yeah, that happened. Or, I was so shy as a kid. Guys, I was so shy. And I'm not going to say his name. He came in and he was like, I made this for you. And it was this wooden thing that said Mac on it. He carved it in school. And he's 16. He was a sophomore or a junior. And he's like, how could you? I did this for you. And my grandma got him out of the room. And they, eventually I left the room and my dad came to pick me up. I remember this. My dad went into the office with my grandpa. They talked in there for a little bit, like 5 minutes. My dad came out. I got into my dad's pickup truck. He took me to Dairy Queen. And I was hiding under my jacket the whole ride, pretty much. Like I was ashamed. My grandparents knew about this. My father, who supposedly was a great dad, and I'll get into that too. Thing is, I didn't know about this happening. Imagine something traumatic happening and you didn't even remember it. Years go on. So I was 4. You see, so fast forward about 10 years, 9 or 10 years, I was 13. And so between this time, everything was great. My family was so great. Not really, but to everybody else, to myself even, everything was great. Beautiful family. Happy. We were in parts at district conventions, on stage, examples. We were a strong family. My parents loved each other. My brother and I, we were happy. So fast forward, that whole time, everything was great in between until I got to 13. I was at a family get-together at my grandparents' house, same grandparents, same house. And let me remind you, I didn't remember any of this at that time until a year ago. And I'm 27 right now. I didn't realize what happened until a year ago. So this whole time I had no idea about the abuse, the cover-up. So I'm at this house with the family. Everybody's there. Cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents. Huge family too. And they start treating me differently at this point. They were asking me, like, who's your friends at school? And they were guy friends. And they're like, will you hug them? And I'm like, yeah, I hug them all the time. And I was this tomboy. Shy. Very shy. Painfully shy. That's about the age. I look so weird there. So this is a weird picture too, but I couldn't find another one. I was the biggest tomboy. I had friends that were guys. I went to the skate park with them. I would meet them at the skate park. I wouldn't wear pink. I was pretty insecure. Mellow. They started demonizing me for hugging guys that were my friends, and I wasn't having sex. There was nothing sexual about it. That's when they started doing that, okay? Do you see what they're doing? They're building a case against me. Same age group, about 13 or 14. There was rumors that were going on in the congregation, church, we'll say. And these rumors would go from one family to the next, to the next, to the next. And then it would get to my family. And so I would call up my grandparents and say, wait, why didn't you send them to me or my parents? Took a 13 or 14-year-old to put these older people in line and say, this isn't right. Why are you allowing them to spread it around? Why can't you just stop right at you and bring it to my attention or my parents' attention? They didn't like that. This is when I became a threat because I started standing up for myself. I was like, this isn't right. Why are you doing this? Calling them up. They did this. They continued to do this about 6 times throughout the years. And every single time I would call them up and be like, calmly, but sternly, why are you doing this? I've asked you to do this. Like, don't do this anymore. Why are you allowing these people to jump from one person to the next? Spreading lies or spreading rumors about me before it even gets to me. It goes to like 5 different people before it even gets to my family. They didn't like that. So between 13 and my age now, 27, it's very clear, they've been building a case against me because I'm a ticking time bomb and they knew it. They started realizing around the time I started standing up for myself, she's a threat. What if she remembers one day? Because I was already pissed off that they were allowing certain things to go on. Just little things compared to this. So I was a ticking time bomb, and I know this now. And I there's so many other things that they would do. They would accuse me of things. They would accuse me of doing things that I didn't do or say. And people started seeing me in the family as this unstable weirdo, manic person when I never even yelled at them. I would just put them in their place. Like, this isn't right, guys. Stop, So they're building and building and building because they knew they needed to make me not reliable. What's the word for it? They needed to make me look unstable, crazy, not like, you know what I'm saying, right? Like, they had to make me not, in case something came out about when I was 4. Okay, so where are we now? This isn't even including all the trauma that I had to go through that was unrelated to family matters. Things that I had to go through that were life and death situations. This is completely unrelated to that. Well, anyways, now I'm 27 and I started going to therapy. I got diagnosed with Dissociative Identity Disorder, which is DID. It used to be called Multiple Personality Disorder until they realized that you're not multiple personalities. You're all parts of yourself. And I don't like to call them alters like other people do. I like to call them my parts of me. So the best way that I can explain this for those who don't know what DID is if you are looking at yourself in a mirror and it's one big mirror, right? You see yourself, one whole piece. That's you. Then someone comes around, takes a hammer to that mirror, and it shatters. It's still on the wall, but it's shattered, right? And now you're still looking in that mirror and you see 3, 4, 7, 8 more personalities or pieces of that mirror of your face looking back at you. They're not different personalities. They're different versions of you. Different pieces, shapes of you. So, another thing that you guys should know about it is when this only happens when you're under the age of like 6 years old. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Your brain is still developing. It's not connected. So your brain is like this and it's not 100% connected together yet. So under age 6, you hear about people saying that you're basically the same personality as you were when you were 5 or 6. someone who has had trauma or abuse happen to them when they were under that age can, not all the time, but can fragment and get this disorder. What happens is a kid who's going through abuse will do that as a defense, as a survival tactic, literally to survive, because that kid is not able to comprehend what is being done to them, isn't able to understand what to do to get out of that situation. So they go into their mind and create a different part or alter, and that alter or part will come out to handle that trauma so that the kid can go about their normal life happy, smiling, acting like nothing happened. And sometimes, that kid doesn't even know what happened until way later in their life, or they'll never know. And I'm happy that I do know, because it's helping me heal. There's no cure for it, but you can manage things like depression and anxiety and PTSD, eating disorders, things like that. There's no cure. You can integrate. I don't want to integrate. I wanted to at first, but then I'm like, this is how I survived. And you hear voices in your head. And I've always thought that was my conscience, or that was my internal dialogue or monologue or whatever. I didn't know what that was. I thought, because they're all different voices. And I always thought that it was just my imagination making these voices in my head. I don't know, like an internal monologue. So I don't want to integrate, and because those are my people. Those are people who have helped me survive. I wouldn't even be alive if it weren't for them. And that's for the traumatizing things, like the other traumatizing things, life and death situations. They've been there. They helped me. So here we are at 27. I'm almost 28. We found out, my dad and we fought for years, probably 5, 6, 7 years. We've been having fights. He's always treated me bad. And now I know why. And I'm pretty sure he knew about it. I don't know if he did, but I'm pretty sure he knew about it, because how would he not know? My mom didn't know. But my dad picked me up that day and went into my grandpa's office. And I remember that. That's what I'm going off of. So I'm not saying he knew. I'm not saying he didn't know. But my grandpa, step-grandpa, that same year, he gave my parents a house. 1999, he gave them a house. And then he ripped it away from them. And we find out, my mom, she's been fighting with him too for like the last 2 years. They have not been intimate. They don't like each other. My dad wanted her back. My mom didn't want anything to do with him for like 2 years, because she realized that I'm not wrong. My dad treats me horrible. He treats my brother great. The reason for that is he's always treated my brother good. My brother's had no reason to lash out at him. But me, he's treated me differently this whole time. And that makes me wonder, why did you treat me bad? Because you knew I was a ticking time bomb. And I could remember one day. Well, here I am, and I remember. So my mom and my dad are getting a divorce. Not because of this, but because my mom was starting to be treated bad. Same way that I was treated all these years by my dad. And she had enough. But then, as she was already wanting a divorce, my dad came forward and said in 1999 he cheated on her. Why did you cheat on her in 1999? Why did my grandpa give you a house in 1999? Why did you treat me bad all these years? And then you get mad at me for blowing up, hitting you, screaming at you. After you're poking and prodding at me, antagonizing me, abusing me emotionally and verbally. It's called reactive abuse. Your brain goes into fight or flight mode. And that is the last thing I'm going to talk about here, is in therapy I've learned that, because I have a part of me that he, sounds crazy saying this, but he is a hypochondriac. He has a hard time taking Tylenol. And he is one of those that has to know what's going on in his body, in my body, at all times. And he found out through therapy and through research why we've been having panic attacks like crazy. Usually him, that part of me. So what's going on in fight or flight mode is your amygdala is like right here. Little almond-shaped things on both sides of your brain. And it's that part of your brain or your system that if you were to be walking across the street and you jump out of the way because there's a car coming, sometimes it'll kick in before you even know what's going on. You don't even know you're in danger, but your brain is like, oh, this car's coming. Jump out of the way, and it's before you even know what's even happening. So that's that fight or flight thing. It tells you what to do instantly. It just kicks in, right? Okay, so your amygdala kicks in for life and death situations, dangerous scenarios. Front part of your brain right here is the prefrontal cortex. And it's the emotional part of your brain. So this is the part where it's damaged if you have DID and other disorders, emotional disorders. This is the part of my brain. My therapist told me it's like a sleepy lobe. It gets sleepy when you're switching. And that's why you get kind of foggy brained. This is such a long video. I'm so sorry, but this is for me, right? This is for me. And it's for other people if you're going through the same thing. So this is a sleepy lobe. I got a sleepy brain right here sometimes. And it is the emotional side of your brain. So if you are having panic attacks and you don't know why, it's because this part of your brain is setting off stress signals and worry and emotional stress to your amygdala, that little fight or flight mode back here. It's sending it there. But the thing is, your amygdala doesn't know. Oh, it's just kidding. Just kidding. It's an emotional meltdown. It's an emotional stress. It doesn't know. So it says, we're in danger, guys. And so it sends the signal down to your pituitary, all your glands and stuff. How do you say it? Pituitary glands. And that goes back up to your brain. Makes that adrenaline kick in, stress hormones, all those. And it makes your heart pound, makes you hyperventilate, makes all these things, your panic set in, right? That's what you're getting. But your amygdala does not know it's the emotional part of your brain that's doing it. It's like, we're in danger, guys. Fight or flight. What do we do? Oh, speed up your heart rate. Speed up, we're going. We're doing this, and it doesn't get the memo that, just kidding. So that has helped me, that part of me and me actually, to realize why I'm having panic attacks. And it's slowed it down a lot. Weed has helped. Not gonna lie. Love you, weed. Love you, THC. So, this is a video, just, now I'm rambling. And, it makes me sad because I look at things like that. My dad was very close to me. I remember him like that. And I remember her. I'm shaking. I remember her. I don't think she exists anymore, guys. So, the thing is, my dad gaslights. He's a narcissist. He gaslights, and then he antagonizes me to the point where I have to defend myself, you know? And then he says I'm the narcissist, or I'm the abuser, and I know it's not true. And then there's all this anger. Now that I know what happened, I know the truth now. There's so much more anger than I ever had. My dad thinks that I was angry before. I'm angry now, more than ever. But I remember the thing that people don't understand is, yeah, you may be going through a narcissistic abuse or abuser in a relationship. It's so much more different when it's your family member, your parent, someone who is supposed to protect you, or a sibling. And my brother, I love my brother, but he believes my dad. My mom believes me. And my mom's always been there for me. Before even knowing all this. She knew there was something wrong with me. Before I even knew. My mom had no idea what happened. It's so different when it's your parent, though. Especially someone you were close to your whole life. Up until like 5 years ago, you started fighting all the time, but you know, everything was, you were close to the person, you loved them. And then they're like this. They did this to you. They were the villain the entire time. And there was no way that you could have known about it. There was no way. No fault of your own. They were just con artists. They fooled everybody. My dad, my grandparents. Hell, I think even my 2 aunts knew about this, guys. My dad's 2 sisters, I think they knew about it, and I'll tell you why, well, really quick. I remember, we'll call her Fiji, similar to her name, but it's not her name, and we'll say Melody. 2 aunts, I have a memory of one of my aunts, my Aunt Fiji, sitting me down and saying, you have parents who love you. You have good parents. I don't remember why she was telling me that on a bed. Then I have another memory of my Aunt Melody playing with my hair, caring for me. And then the next second, she's outside talking to my step-grandpa in the backyard on the porch. And I'm looking through the window, and she's yelling at him. And he's holding a Bible, and he's saying something back. She's yelling at him, saying, I know what you did. I know what you've done. I know who you are. And my grandma comes over, and she shuts the blind. That's a memory. Then fast forward to that. So remember that, what she said. And then fast forward to 2018. I don't remember how old I was. Like in my 20s. A few years ago. And she calls me at random when I was dating this guy named Brian. And she calls me because I posted a picture of pizza and beer online. And he tagged me in it. She calls me and says, I know who you are. I know what you've done. I know who you are. I know what you've done. She was sounding so crazy on the phone. And all this time I was like, I told my mom, told my dad, told my brother. I was like, why would she do this? Like, this was my favorite aunt. This was one of my favorite aunts. And I was like, why would she do this? This is before that memory from when I was 4 years old popped up. Then I remembered. I think my aunt was having a PTSD moment, or she's got DID too. And so she calls me, and she's taken back to that moment because it had something to do with me that she was talking to my grandpa about. And she says the same thing on the phone to me, and I had no idea what she was doing. I'm like, this is my loving aunt who's always been kind to me. She starts saying this crazy shit on the phone. Now I understand it because I have a memory of it. So therapy helps, guys. If you need therapy, if you think you do, you probably do. Like me, I didn't even know I really needed it. I knew that I had some problems like PTSD moments where I'd have panic attacks and depression and some manic episodes, anger episodes. But I didn't really know what it was. And I go into therapy thinking, oh, it's these little issues or these issues. Comes out, you got freaking dissociative identity disorder. Oh, that's why I hear voices in my head. That's great. And then you start remembering things. Yeah. And realizing that you're not the only one that comes out. That's another great thing. Sarcasm intended. You'll start dating somebody, and then you'll be like, why am I dating this person? Ew. And then people are like, why did you date that person, Kenzie? That happened too. A few times. Or you'll go off in the middle of the night, driving. You won't even know you're driving. And you come to and you snap out of it in the middle of a freeway, driving on the freeway, and you don't even know where you're at. So you get off onto the next exit. You go into a parking lot, and you're in a parking lot that's a hospital parking lot, calling your mom panicked at 1:30 in the morning. I don't know where I'm at. And then you finally realize you're in Roseburg, 2 hours away from your house. You don't even know how you got there. And then you look at the gas tank, it's almost on empty. And you have no money on you. These are things that I wish that I knew I had this back then, but it still would have happened. But I haven't had moments like that where I run off. It's called fugue. And it goes with the property of DID. That hasn't happened that often, I don't think. But, you know, you get amnesia and stuff like that. That's happened quite a few times. Amnesia. But fugue, where you end up somewhere you don't know where you're at. That doesn't happen that often with me. Be careful with... Another takeaway is people don't realize kids are aware. Our kids are so aware. They soak it all up. Family dynamics, social situations. They remember it all. And for me, we're talking about when I was 4 years old, I was reading chapter books. I learned how to read when I was 2. I was reading picture books when I was 2. I was reading chapter books when I was 4. I was smart. Very smart. I loved reading. This can happen to anybody. And your children are watching. They're watching everything you do and everything you don't do.